Night Shift, your safe space. We're talking about UFOs, UAPs, NHI, disclosure, and everything else your friends, family, and coworkers are so sick and tired of hearing you go on and on about. We're careening into World War III. We're trying to have a good time. Over here at Doomer Friday, the chat is on fire today. How's everybody doing? Got a great show for you today. Kelly Chase is with us. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things. It's a busy news week. There's so much going on in the world right now. Chris Bledsoe's coming out smelling like roses at the end of this year. That's my prediction. I think Xander declared war on Chris Bledsoe, but we're going to see if he's come around on this.
I don't know where you got that from.
You declare war on everybody. You're like, war on.
I literally, from. I have no idea where I got that rep from. I'm friends with everybody.
He's friends with everybody. Welcome to the show, everybody. How are y'all doing? It's good to see you.
Oh, here we are.
There we
Hi.
Go. Hey.
Here, let's take this away.
What's up, gang?
If you're playing the home game with us, please go ahead and hit that like button. Hit it early, hit it often, and let's see if we can get this up to 1,000 people by in the next 10, 15 minutes here. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's good to see everybody this week. Kelly, let's start with you. How you doing? It's been so long.
Oh, things have just been so great in the world that it's hard not to have an optimistic outlook. But no, I mean, there's still a lot to be excited about at the end of the world, and I'm thrilled to be here with all of you.
Dan?
I'm trying because it's going to get doomy, so we're starting on a high note.
It is going to get doomy. Does it feel particularly doomy to everyone, or is it just like it's not just me, right? Like we're all picking up on this.
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're awake, you got to be feeling it right now.
You got to be feeling it.
You got to judge it by how busy the Costco fuel line is, and it's been busy all week. Yeah, really busy.
What's the price of a barrel of oil right now? Are we up to $100 a barrel yet?
I don't think the impact has really hit just yet, but I'm not. I mean, I've filled my car up. I'll be honest.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting couple of years now. Dan, how you been, man?
Horrible, dude. The world is crazy. Yeah, we're
crazy.
covering it. Yeah, it's nuts. I'm pretty good, all things considered. I could be a lot worse. I haven't been blown up yet, which is awesome. That's a plus. Yeah.
Cool shirt, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah,
what shirt? Oh, yeah, your OFAM. That's right. Yeah.
Trying to first run of these things and see how they do. Yeah.
The communion sweatshirt that you've got.
Oh,
where did that come from?
That's what Saucer Co. That company they did a line with Whitney, like a whole communion line of stuff. And I saw that thing. I'm like, I gotta have that hoodie. Gotta have the hoodie. Oh my god. Yeah,
it's so cool, man.
Yeah,
I want one.
They do good
stuff.
Have
you guys seen who was who somebody mentioned in our group chat Chris Ramsey's new incense? Have you guys seen his
That's wild.
Right? Yeah, that is brilliant. He's a brilliant merch man, that guy.
Dude, yeah. I have to show people this. Like, this is he has the best merch ever. And Area 52, not the weed gummy company. Here we go. Area 52 shop official merch. That's a different thing. If you guys at home haven't seen this is let's see here. This actually blew my mind. Like I was really
yeah.
Look at that.
The ashtray.
This isn't just like drop shipped like nonsense. Like he really put some thought into that.
Yep.
Look at this. He's reading UFO magazine. He's just got this cool video loop. Like what an awesome what a stud. So cool. And the pen. The pen. I have to get the pen. Look at this ashtray, guys. Like, come on.
Nice job.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Chris Ramsey, ladies and gentlemen, Area 52. Go there. Support the man. He's a wizard. He's a legit wizard. He's actually I feel like if we had a Dungeons and Dragons group, I feel like we kind of do have a real life Dungeons and Dragons group, but it's like UFOs instead of D&D. And he's the sorcerer in the group.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I just was watching that Ross Coulthart interview with this guy who claims to be part of the GATE program, or recruited through that for this psychic child experimentation thing. Have you guys watched this?
Not yet.
No?
I just finished watching it. It's brutal.
It's hard. It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, because he describes being tortured.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not nice to listen to.
And Ross is not easy on this guy. Like, it's a brutal interview because Ross just is like, so describe, how did it feel? Relive it for us. Tell me, take me through that again. You're 4 years old. What is this like? And you're like,
Ross.
God, Ross, fucking.
Just give him a minute to breathe. God damn it.
Can we get this guy a chamomile tea or something? Like, he's visibly uncomfortable talking about it, but they're at this, I've got the clip pulled up somewhere on my desktop here. I can see if I can find it.
Yeah, if you can find it. I was saying to you, like, if I was shown that interview a year ago, I'd have gone, well, it seems a little bit far-fetched. And now a year down the line, after everything, all of the files and stuff, so we're like, yeah, okay, I get it. I'm kind of on board.
Jordan Jozak was pretty descriptive with what he wrote, right? He was also like, that was also pretty hard to read.
Under the pseudonym Martin, or with the Substack, or
I think he made the Substack.
Yeah,
that's what I'm.
The anonymous Substack that he wrote.
That was very descriptive too, and
This guy, what is his name? It says Ross Coulter sits with Tim Lalka is the guy's name, and he is he's describing in this interview how from the time he was like 4 years old, he would go to his pediatrician at this medical complex, and then they would take him into another elevator where he would go below ground into a complex where they actually had like miles and miles of tunnels. And he would at some time he gets on a train, on some kind of a tram, and they take him for like 15 minutes underground. They like take him someplace, and he's basically being subjected to these experiments where they traumatize kids and try to get them to enhance their telepathic abilities, and then they just test them on stuff to see like how are they getting stronger or getting weaker. And he describes everything that he went through, and Ross is not gentle with the interview. He's just like needling him about all these details the whole time, and you're just like, oh man, this is hard to watch. I only got 2/3 of the way through it before I had to stop and do something else. But what was Xander, you saw it all the way through, what was the end? Did he get any more deeply into the story? I needed to correct
myself. He ends up sort of corroborating his own memories with people that he grew up alongside. So it seemed this whole sort of area he was living in was sort of a bit of a hotspot for... I mean, it could have been just a consequence of the clinic he was using being relatively local, that they picked from the local population. I don't know. A little bit like Stranger Things, to be honest. But yeah, he ends up sort of corroborating his own memories with others from around the neighborhood who are like, yeah, I don't really want to talk about that. Please don't. I don't want to remember what happened there. I know something happened, but I don't want to remember. Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. We've had our sort of, not misgivings, but criticisms of Ross lately, but I think he's really stepped up again. Maybe he was a victim of a bit of a slow news cycle, which we are no longer in. And yeah, he's pulling some incredible stuff out lately, I think.
I mean, I respect the hell out of him for talking about the gate stuff, because it's an extraordinarily hot topic. In some ways, it's hotter than any of the UFO stuff because we're talking about what human beings are doing to human beings. And I really respect him for it. Yeah, and to kids. And this is something that has been very well known in the experiencer community for a long time, because experiencers, a lot of them have, these weird memories of these gate programs that they were in. And I know a lot of experiencers, like people who are psychically gifted and who have that run in their family, who are now having children, and all of a sudden their kids are getting pulled, and they're like, and there's this special program, and you take them, and it just happens to be at this nearby Air Force base. And they're like, wait a minute, what's going, like this stuff is still like it's actively still happening. And so for Ross to take that on, like he's a real champ for doing it, and I respect it.
Kelly, what do you think about like the timing of all these different things that it's sort of coming to a head? It feels like, do you have the sense that, I don't know, we're on some kind of accelerated timetable for some kind of crazy UFO reveal because of all the craziness in the world right now? Or, I mean, is this, is it just a crazy time to be alive?
It's so hard to tell what's going on. I think that there's a few possibilities, and who knows if any of these are actually right, but kind of the way I'm thinking about it is, on the one hand, I do think that there is something to this kind of like accelerated timeline. Like there seems to be something that they're trying to get out ahead of, or that they're trying to, that there's some sort of like urgency that wasn't there before, because now we're suddenly like speed running every conspiracy theory being confirmed in a way that like doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And if there's not where is this urgency coming from? And then I think that depending on what community you're in, everybody has a different interpretation about what that kind of like constraining time factor is. Like, is it AGI? Is it UFOs and non-human intelligence? Is it some sort of like cataclysm or geophysical event that they know is going to happen? Or are they just pretty sure that World War III is around the corner? Like what is it that's causing this sense of urgency? But the other concern that I have is just that, the fact that the zone is getting flooded every single day. Like we just found out yesterday that Lyme disease, I mean, people have been saying this forever, but, conspiracy theorists on a historic run right now in 2026, the Lyme disease,
flat earthers.
Yeah, flat earthers, unfortunately, have been left out in the cold. Sorry, guys. But everything else, but I wouldn't be surprised. Wait till next week, and they, and I wonder if there's so much going on, and there's something that they're trying to distract us from, because when you flood the zone with all of this stuff at once, like the overwhelming sentiment when I talk to people is just like apathy. Like you'd think that we'd be in the streets rioting, but nobody, we're all just like, man, I don't even know what to do. And I wonder if that's not the intended result, is you just overwhelm people so much and then they don't even know how to respond. So I don't know what's going on, but it's crazy.
I think that the internet does play a key role in keeping all of us in a lethargic state of sorts, and it desensitizes us as well. The constant doom scrolling, literally, if you get exposed to a lot of really hardcore stuff, like ultra violence and all that shit, that usually goes on X, that I think plays a major role, because it transmits you fear, and it you feel it, and it's like, I don't want to get involved in that shit. Unlike the people in Nepal who really did something historic, in my opinion. I don't think that would happen in a Western country like Mexico or
what did they do?
The US. They lynched politicians, and it was really hardcore. There's live streaming of the entire event.
They did that in Sri Lanka too, didn't they? Go after
they chose their president on Discord. That was pretty wild.
That is so 2026.
Did they really?
I love it.
Yeah.
That sounds
not the lynching, but the Discord voting for president.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. Why not?
And it was a really nice lady who got elected, by the way, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
Wait, what do you mean they voted on Discord? What do you mean by that?
They had a massive Discord server of the people who decided to just take charge after lynching all the politicians, and they just chose her, and she accepted. Yeah,
that worked out for once.
Yeah,
team human.
I don't think that would happen here, honestly, but would be interesting to see, because my country is also a fucking mess. Just a week before the thing in Iran, we were inundated with narco cartel activity, and it was pretty fucking scary.
We went
in
from,
Tijuana, and it was pretty scary.
I mean, think about it, guys. We went from the global pedophile network of elites running the world, and in finding out it's pretty much everybody,
Right.
Everybody, even the people you thought were the good guys or not the good guys, all those people. Then before we even have time to process that, we've kidnapped the sitting president of Venezuela out of his bed in the middle of the night, take that guy away. there's the cartel stuff going on in Mexico. We're in World War III. And
directed energy weapons are real, turns out.
Jesus, yeah.
Directed energy weapons are real. Havana Syndrome's real. And all of the AI CEOs are like, by the way, we don't know if it's conscious or not. We can't prove it. We're not sure. It's Doomer Friday. Oh, wow. You know what it is? Doomer Friday. What time is it? Let's see here. It's 18 minutes after the hour. We're up to 536 people in here. You know what? This is a good time for us to take a quick commercial break. We actually do have something that we're going to start. I've been teasing it on the channel for a long time. I think I'll just show it to you guys, and then we can go from there. So here's a quick message from our sponsor, and then we'll be right back.
When the airwaves are under attack, it's time to unleash the ultimate broadcast. Introducing the all-new Doomer Friday action figures. Prepare for maximum audio warfare with Clint, featuring real removable sleeves action and a mustache that commands the room. Then dial into the unknown with Xander. Activate his mind-bending ASMR UFO action to decode top-secret galactic transmissions. But the signal doesn't stop there. Lay down the groove with Dan, armed with his dark green battle bass. He drops the heavy-hitting sonic boom. And watch your six, because Pavel is moving in, fully equipped with his tactical snapback hat and a top-secret hidden compartment for covert broadcast operations. That's classified. Bring the whole crew together at the ultimate Doomer Friday podcast studio playset. Slam them into their seats, grab the mega microphones, and simulate epic, earth-shattering debates. Doomer Friday figures are ready. Podcast studio playset and battle accessories, each sold separately. Batteries not included. Mustache attachment may vary. Hidden compartment contents classified. Tactical snapback hat does not provide actual tactical protection. ASM or UFO action not responsible for actual galactic transmissions. Ask your parents before going on the air.
There you go, guys.
Oh my god, dude!
What the hell did I just
had
watch?
Not the removable
Justin.
sleeves. I was dead.
And a mustache that commands the room.
The mustache.
Whoa.
That was Mr.
Dan-
Justin, by the way. Mr. Justin made that.
Oh my
Justin.
god, that was
Thank you,
incredible.
Shout out to Mr. Justin.
So good.
That's
He put that
crazy.
together on the DL and then just messaged me. I just got the text from him about an hour and a half ago, and he was like, "Can we open with this?"
It's so good.
Oh my god,
I'm speechless. That's amazing. Honestly, so good.
so good.
Amazing.
I will full.
Dude, I got
fully in Doomer
Vegeta
mode.
on my fucking shirt. That's awesome. Wow.
Good
Bye
stuff.
So what do we think about Chris Bledsoe right now? How are we feeling about Chris Bledsoe? He's back.
It's a
I can't
tough one.
quit him.
I've never disliked Chris. I don't like the way his son is conducting himself. That's
There we go.
that's my main issue. Chris, in my opinion, he generally gives out a positive message. Maybe he has been affected by the fame because it affects pretty much anybody. That's like taunting your ego, fame. So like nobody is immune to that shit. You got to learn how to control it and get used to it. Dan, for example, has been around like celebrities his entire life, so he has a better grasp and understanding of what that's like. But somebody who never experienced that before, that's different. I don't think he's a bad person by any means. I don't think Ryan is a bad person either, but I think Ryan is probably misguided and misinformed and a lot of the stuff that he promotes, and I just don't agree with that. Even if Chris ends up being right about his predictions and all that, I'll still speak against that kind of behavior. I think I've been very vocal about it.
Yeah, there's something
about just-
strange going on there.
Go ahead.
I don't know. There's something weird happening in that world. I can't put my finger on it, but it feels. We've kind of touched on it before. It feels like a little culty vibes happening over there a little bit, and it makes me uncomfortable because I think it feels like, to me, I feel like Chris had some genuine experiences, and now it's kind of getting a little out of control. And there was some stuff that happened at Contact last year that was strange with the sky watching thing. And I mean, Patrick touched on it with you, Clint, when he was
Yeah.
on a while ago, and just I don't know, it's getting a little squirrely over there.
But his prophecy, I guess we can call it a prophecy. I mean, that is what it is. April 2026. We're coming right up on April 2026. Supposedly.
They're moving the goalposts though, because I
Yes.
saw like it's gone from like it's definitely happening Easter 2026 to I think Ryan tweeted the other
September.
day, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened this year. Were his words. And so I'm like, I don't know. I mean, listen, prophecy is a messy business. I wouldn't get into it personally. It usually doesn't go well for people.
It is sage
I would
advice.
watch, like, if I was Bledsoe and I believed what I was saying, I would go to Egypt. And he is going to Egypt. He's already said publicly he's going to Egypt. He's not going at Easter. He's going in, he said fall. So around
See
late
if it's
September.
still there first. See if
I don't do this on purpose, but every time we see it's like some strange synchronicity, every time we end up talking about something, it always ends up being in my episode of the Dreamland Motel that's getting released tonight.
Is it?
But
Is this going to be?
I talk about Bledsoe's. So tonight's episode is about time travel, prophecy, and UFOs, and really linking all of that together, how it can possibly make sense, and all of that. So obviously, well, naturally, Bledsoe is a portion of the episode. We don't go through his entire story because it deserves its own sort of long thing. But we talk about the prophecies that he's been talking about, the prophecies that he claims he's received. And to be honest, after doing all of the research, particularly into old religious prophecy, I'm kind of the opinion now that this whole culty vibe we're getting might actually be our problem and not Bledsoe's. Because we're starting to see what the words he uses, the lady, and it's very Virgin Mary-like, and he's not really made that connection himself, but it's very easy to make that connection. But we're looking at what he's saying through a lens of these religious people have said it in the past. We need to flip it the other way around and say, okay, what is his experience? How does his experiences now reflect on what was said in biblical prophecy? So rather than making the assumption he's trying to be religious in nature, we're sort of saying, is religion actually the way they had to say it in the time, the way they had to describe these visions they were having and experiences they were having? Were they put into the religious framework simply because if they didn't put it in a religious framework, they'd be hung, drawn, and quartered? So you simply had to stay within the church's purview with everything you were saying. Was it Galileo that was Galileo, I think, was housebound for a large portion of his life because he was starting to claim things that were against the church, and that was a few hundred years after the religious prophecies were announced. And we all know what happened to people that prophesied back in religious times, and they didn't attribute it to the glory of God. So I've tried to sort of look at it backwards rather than forwards. And in terms of Bledsoe and exactly what he's saying right now, I'm just staying open-minded. Like what is happening in Iran, and anybody with any sort of sense of geopolitical, noose would say, okay, that was inevitable. It's kind of eerie that it's so close to 2026 and all of the biblical and all of Bledsoe's prophecies, but I'm just staying open-minded. My theory is now he's got 2026. For me, that's it. If he wants to move the goalposts further, I will let him justify that when the time comes. But until then, I'm staying open-minded. I think it's cool he's going to Egypt because he'll either look at the Sphinx on that sunrise and nothing will happen, and it'll be a great moment to just watch nothing happen. or light will shine on the Sphinx's paw and a portal will open, or some sort of crumbling rock will occur like in National Treasure, and people will go down and see the Tic Tac buried below the Sphinx. We'll see. That's my theory.
I think it's complicated what's going on with the Bledsoes, like really, really complicated. And this is just my opinion, but like I think that they're probably one of the most psyoped families on the face of the planet. And And I think that there's always been a lot of investment on the part of the intelligence community in shaping how experiencers interpret their own experiences. And, if you even look, if you like go back, like the way that the Bledsoes have interpreted what has happened to them has changed over time. As a result, I would argue, of the interactions that they're having with these members of the intelligence community, people like Colonel John Alexander, people like Tim Taylor, aka Tyler from American Cosmic. These are people who have been coming and like staying in the home and like having a lot of interaction with these people. And when you see like even Ryan, I think a few days ago tweeted something where, it was a picture of Tim Taylor at like his sister's football game, right? And he's like, well, if we're full of it, if this isn't real, then like, why are these really important people coming to us hat in hand, willing to go to my sister's football game just to get information? And so like, you see how somehow like their credentials then are used for them to kind of confirm all kinds of things. Like if you go back and you look at Chris Bledsoe's book, UFO of God, in the very first chapter, I forget all the details, and I don't want to misrepresent it, but basically there's this story where he like saves the Pope from assassination, allegedly, in Philadelphia, right?
Yes.
And like he gets off of the plane and the very first person that he sees is John Alexander. And John Alexander is kind of like shepherding him through this like experience of saving the Pope from assassination. And like if I had to guess what was going on there, I don't think that was real. Like we go back to like books like Project Beta and you see what they did to Paul Benowitz. Like they put that dude in a helicopter and like flew him over fake crash landing sites. Like, you've got Tim Taylor taking Chris Bledsoe to Zanesville to like where, Townsend was doing all of his work and like finding, these exotic materials, which by the way is the exact same thing that he did to like Diana Pasulka and Gary Nolan. Like it's not that I'm saying that the Bledsoes are like ignorant or that they're gullible. I'm saying that they're sending their best people and that these people have been psyoped within an inch of their lives. And I don't think that their perception of what's going on is very good. I don't think that this like turn towards prophecy and this kind of like absolute certainty that they have around things is productive. I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it's for their good. And I think it's going to end badly. And I pray only good things for the Bledsoes. I think they're really, truly decent people who have been put in like an extraordinary situation that most of us couldn't even comprehend. And like, I pray for them. I really do.
What do you think the angle would be from the intelligence community to infiltrate the Bledsoes?
I mean, I think that number one, they're very legit experiencers. I don't question that whatsoever, but so the fact that like that there's, you look at this and like the actual content of the experiences, and this sounds something that's more like the lady sounds more like maybe Hathor or something like that, right? But then you watch over, if you go back and watch older stuff and you watch the way that it's been shifted into this like increasingly like Christian message, which is not like really wasn't the original content of the experiences, but that has, I think, been directly tied to Bledsoe's kind of like ascendancy as some sort of a distinctly Christian prophet, right? And so I think part of it is just like obscuring the source of like what it is that they're actually interacting with. And I think that part of it is like when you create a prophet, right? Which I think is what's happened here. I think that he was manufactured into a prophet intentionally, and that for specifically this time, and I think it's all going to fall apart. That's just my guess. I would love to see it go otherwise. I really would. I really don't wish anything bad on the Bledsoes. But when it all falls apart, now think of all those people who have been following them, who've been trusting them, who have been now suddenly, and then that all falls apart. Like what happens to those people? Probably a lot of them get disillusioned and they're like, screw this. And they walk away. They walk away forever. And I think a lot of what this kind of like systematic, you see it again and again. You see it with disclosure. You see what's going on with the Bledsoes. Once you look for this pattern, you see it everywhere where there's like this movement that attracts a bunch of people, that has this like real energy behind it, that feels like there's like this inevitable momentum that we're moving towards some end, that you get to get on the ground floor, right? That you're ahead of all your friends, that this amazing thing that's going to happen. It's all going to be great. And then when it falls apart, like the demoralization that comes with that, and just the purpose of most psyops that are run anywhere in the world and counterintelligence stuff is profound demoralization. That's one of their most like commonly used tools in their toolkit. And I think that that's the end goal of a lot of this stuff, including what's going on with the Bledsoes.
Are you saying that like part of what's going on with like this, because I forgot all about the Pope thing until you mentioned that, but yeah, that's a whole huge part of the book. Do you think part of it is like getting them involved in an activity that makes them feel like this is a real thing now, like you're cosplaying through this event of like, oh my God, you're saving the Pope, and now you're invested and you're psychologically completely bound into the story with this group of people. You've got this experience. Is that partly what's going on in your?
Yeah. Because like I said, like it's a pattern, right? Like you've got like the thing with Alexander and Philadelphia and the Pope, and then Tim Taylor in Zanesville with the Townsend stuff, and then Tim Taylor with Diana Pasulka and Gary Nolan out in the desert. Like you take people and you take them on like a literal adventure. I mean, to be honest with you, this is like pickup artist techniques, right? Like you take the girl from the first location to a second location, you're in, you know what I mean? Like
this is in True Lies. Bill Paxton does this to Jamie Lee Curtis in True Lies. Yeah. Right.
Like now you're a team, right? Now you've got history because we were over there and now we're over here. Like this stuff actually works on people. And you don't have to be stupid to fall for it by any stretch of the imagination, which is why I look at stuff like what's going on even with Ross Coulthart right now. Once again, a guy I have a lot of admiration for. I don't think this is a stupid or gullible man, but he's saying like, I got taken out into the woods and there's a portal and the National Forestry, is protecting it. And I'm just like, here's the thing. When they do these programs, these black budget programs, and I learned this from my dear friend, Daniel Elizondo, an incredible researcher, everyone should follow him. When they do these things, like imagine you have a UFO reverse engineering program and like how much money that would cost and what that would entail. For any of those programs, they are allowed to spend 6 to 7 times the budget of that program just on security. And that includes counterintelligence and disinformation and like all of this other stuff. So you're talking about these programs that are funded at hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. And then you multiply that by 6 or 7. And that's how much that they can pay just to lie about what's going on. And so I think people really underestimate like how elaborate these scenarios can be, like flying Benowitz over fake crash sites and stuff like that. And so I just worry when I hear people are like, I went on this wild adventure, like beware spooks trying to take you on wild adventures. Cause I don't think that's ever going to end well.
Yeah. And Ryan's all in. His Twitter feed is like the next level is comprehending that we actually received messages of the future from a godly being. Just this whole back and forth on, he was on AJ's Y-Files episode, Bledsoe. The Space Force logo, though, is really weird. What is this? Not the Space Force logo. What is the one with the Sphinx? It's in the background.
It's like a space intelligence service or something like that.
Space Delta 18. That's what it is. Space Delta 18. Yeah. Here we go.
I've got a really cool patch on my wall. Hold on, let me show you.
Yeah, please.
Oh.
So this one is from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. And somebody found these online and then they figured out that you could there was like a loophole in the system and they would just let you order them like anyone. And then people started ordering them and then they took it down. But let me see if you guys can. I hope it'll focus on that, right?
There you go.
But look at what's that down there? What's that guy?
Oh yeah,
right. Somebody sent that to me. I think it's really cool. I keep it on my wall.
That is cool.
Interesting.
I had a quick, if you don't mind, Kelly, because your rational thinking about this is annoyingly good, but I still want to challenge it just ever so. In fact,
no,
Clint,
please.
Clint, go through this and then I'll go through that.
This is just that logo. I just wanted to put this up on the screen for people.
There was
to
another
see.
one as well. They've gone through several iterations of this. One is literally just the straight up Sphinx looking at a star, like it's got the body of the Sphinx and everything.
And that's his that's his whole thing. And this was made after his experience, his encounter with the lady. Was it after or before his book? However, because I don't know. There was a time between.
And again, I'm not trying to shit on the Bledsoes at all, but there was a time between the experience and the book. If the experience took place decades before, then yes, it's before the patch was made. But when the book was made, possibly...
They hide a lot of stuff in those patches and challenge coins that people pass around. There's some really, really, like, they don't even really hide it very well. If they think people aren't going to see it, it's pretty right out there with some of those challenge coins and patches. It's pretty fascinating. If you can see some of the stuff that isn't public, it's wild.
Wow.
Can I read a message from Daniel Elizondo? He wrote on the Psicoactivo Live.
Oh yeah, love Daniel.
He says, back in the 70s, an NSA analyst reviewing psychic phenomena concluded that it is most effective within the context of a community of belief. Another interesting wrinkle to consider.
Psychic phenomena. Repeat that one more time. How does it? Psychic.
Back in the 70s, an NSA analyst reviewing psychic phenomena concluded that it is most effective within the context of a community of belief. Another interesting wrinkle to consider. I think this refers to how this prophecy type of attitude from the fundamentalists is being self-fulfilled because they're acting up on it and they're making it happen. It's not necessarily that it's predestined to be. It's like a huge belief that they have, and that's provoking it to happen. I think that's what Daniel meant, I think.
That makes sense to me a lot because, like, I did an interview with Dean Radin, and he was talking about how, one of the complex parts of doing, work in the lab on psi abilities and that sort of thing is that people have to, if you don't believe it, like if you don't believe that you can do it, then you can't do it.
Yeah.
And so, and when you think about like getting a group of people together who believe, I could see, what do I know? But that makes sense to me.
I think you're, what you have to believe it's real to give it some kind of, to make that activate in you. Or I guess that's just part of the, I don't know. It's the way this Ross Coulthard interview talks about the telepathy thing in a really interesting way. I want to come back to it in a second. I just want to show a clip from Chris Bledsoe real quick while we're still on this topic, but let's just to remind people what he's been saying. This is a clip from Sean Ryan's podcast. And
the only thing about the podcast is the Bledsoes have come out and said that podcast was edited in a in a way they don't really agree with.
Well, this is from Ryan's Twitter feed, so he shared.
If he posted it, then cool. Yeah,
this one's probably okay. Yeah, but you're right. There was weirdness about that episode.
There was a little controversy.
We're living in the worst possible times right now. That if we don't make some changes, there's going to be some major disasters about to happen, and it's man-made. It's not solar flare. It's not any of that. It's a dark force. Because she told me, I'll tell you what she told me. This is what I put in writing, part of it. She said, there are people in power. I put this in writing in 2012. She said, there are people in power. And I'm not going to say where she focused my thoughts on that, but there's script in the book of Revelation to bring about Armageddon and the end of the world. They're doing it intentionally, and that's what she told me. And that's the very thing the main meat of the whole message I sent to these generals. So it makes sense, right?
Who is they?
I don't know who they are. I think they're Satanists. I think they're people that worship the dark force, that don't care for humanity and human life. And in fact, they're the total opposite of, they worship the devil. Or I don't know if there is a devil. I think it's
ASMR Bledsoe.
It's a very dark force that is living full of dark entities that feed on you parasitically. Like there'd be non-physical. They shape shift. They take your mind over. They make you do crazy things. They deceive you, make you kill somebody, go crazy. Where the the angelic world or the physical beings. They can come in here and light. These beings are made of light. The dark force is a parasitic race. And whoever's aligned with that is, according to the mother, the lady, is scripted in the book of Revelation.
Okay. So we just found out about all these evil pedophile people, right? And then they're running the world, and now we're in this, conflict in Iran. And this story just broke the other day, and it blew up immediately. Let me see if I can get
the commanders.
I've still got to ask this question to get this burning in my head. But yeah, carry on, please finish this. But I need to ask Kelly this.
Just to move on, finish this train of thought. That
freaks me out, man.
U.S. troops were told war on Iran was all part of God's divine plan, according to a watchdog religious freedom group. Says 200 troops sent complaints of superiors using extremist Christian rhetoric to justify the war. And I won't read the whole thing, but I'll just read a little bit. U.S. military commanders have been invoking extremist Christian rhetoric about biblical end times to justify involvement in the Iran war to troops. According to complaints made by a watchdog group, the Military Religious Freedom Foundation says it has received more than 200 complaints from service members across all branches, including the Marines, Air Force, and Space Force. One complainant identified as NCO in a unit that could be deployed at any moment to join operations against Iran told MRFF in a complaint viewed by The Guardian that their commander had, quote, urged us to tell our troops that this is all part of God's divine plan. And he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Christ. Now, if that's not fucking weird,
read just the next bit too. Just the next.
It's not weird. It's terrifying.
Okay, so the next part of this goes on, he says, quote, he said that President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to earth, end quote, the NCO added.
What?
Jesus would be horrified. Jesus would be horrified at how they're using his name, like in this day and age. I can guarantee you that.
So, I don't want to take away from Xander. You have a question, and you're trying to get it out. Please ask your question, and then I have something else I want to go to.
It's just a question of the whole PSYOP thing. Benowitz obviously was PSYOPed. He was he was operating a business right next to an Air Force base. He was already interested, already picking up signals from tests and stuff he probably shouldn't have been listening in on. So it might have, they have a few extra bucks and a few loose personnel. They'll, like Doty, they'll throw him on the case and send the guy crazy because there's a budget for it. But as far as I'm aware, and I haven't read Bledsoe's book or anything, as far as I'm aware, the Bledsoe's never really attributed. They weren't poking the bear, so to speak, but that's irrelevant. The real relevant question I find is, like, the easiest thing to do for anybody trying to psyop the UFO community, in my opinion, is to pretty much ignore us, because they've succeeded decades ago in terms of, if they want to make us look silly and kind of mad, up until recently, mentioning ufology in the UK was still, I wouldn't advertise it at a party just to save my wife the embarrassment. But these days, it seems the more attention we are given by the government, the worse it gets for the government. So my question would be, what do you think, if it is a psyop by Tim Taylor and all of that, and again, I'm not trying to defend the Bledsoes, what do you think the actual reason is? Do they see the Bledsoes as actually an important family in any sense, even in a psyop sense? And at the same time, we have all of this stuff kicking off in Iran, which obviously is an unhappy coincidence, but are they also sort of coordinating that to make sure it ties in with what Bledsoe has been saying? Or are they like, oh great, what a lucky turn of events kind of thing. I'm just wondering, like, where do you think the UFO community actually fits in the grand scheme of geopolitics? Because I know that's a huge, ridiculous question, but it's 2026.
That's what we're here for, right? No, and I love this question. I think it's a really fair one. I mean, I think it's really complicated what's going on with them. Because like I said, like, I don't doubt for a minute that they're very legitimate experiencers. I think that they are being honest and forthright about what has happened to them to the best of their understanding. I don't doubt that at all. And I don't doubt that that the government was very interested in that because, you know, the Bledsoes are just a very public example, but this is going on all the time. The interest in experiencers and what the communications that they're getting is enormous. And I think that a lot of what we see as ufology and kind of like the surrounding ecosystem is meant to kind of draw in people who are having these kinds of experiences so that they're doing two things. They are both collecting information that they see as important and actionable intelligence, and then they are also influencing the ways in which people are perceiving that information in order to contain it. And so, like, look even 100%. At like and look at what's going on with like the article, you know, that Clint just had up, right? Like, I think, like, I fundamentally agree more or less with everything Bledsoe said in that video, that like that's what's going on. And I don't doubt that they've been given foreknowledge of things and that sort of thing. But what happens is that like they start saying stuff that starts to line up, right? And that all starts to happen. And then as that happens, more and more people start to see that there could be some credibility to like the more prophecy side of it, right? Because it's like, well, they were right about all of this stuff. So probably they're right about this other thing, or at least like the probability in somebody's head, like your calculus changes. You're like, well, maybe they're true. Like maybe it is going to happen. Who knows? But then the problem is that then the reverse happens when it doesn't, right? Is that like people, when it doesn't happen, then suddenly people are like, oh, this is all just a scam. This has all just been, you know, and then they're on to the next one. Like this family becomes instantly disposable to these people who have been lying to them for like over a decade now. And once again, this is all just my opinion. I don't know any of this for a fact. This is just like me. This is how I make sense of it. And I could. And
you've also said you hope you're wrong.
Yeah, I could absolutely be wrong. I don't know. We're all just spitballing here, right? Like I don't.
That's right.
We never speculate here on Doom Friday.
No.
I agree with you, Kelly. I think you have it nailed.
You do have it nailed. I was only playing devil's advocate.
People like Tim Taylor seem to like collect experiencers and gather that info. I think you're exactly right. Yeah.
I have a clip here from Bob Bigelow that I've shown before. I want to show it again. It's from his interview with Jeffrey Mishlove, where he talks about doing experiments with remote viewers to try and get a glimpse of the future. And what he found out, his team, they invested a lot of money and time into this. And this is kind of interesting in light of this conversation. I just want to bring it up. I think it ties back in to this whole question of prophecy. But let's see here if I've got it. It is. Yeah, here we go.
And so the challenge is of a different order of magnitude. The challenge is an effort to involve an acquisition of information from the other side that proves or disproves what information Bix already has from multiple kinds of sources as to the disposition of the human race in time coming. It's a pessimistic view that we have relative to the data that are telling us what we see. I'm hoping we're wrong. And but I'm hoping that the data are substantial in the way that we're trying to acquire it to tell us we're wrong. Because we're going to do devil's advocacy on the data that's coming from the sources that we are out there trying to gather.
If I understand what you're saying, it's basically like the data that is coming into you from multiple sources leads you to have a pessimistic outlook on the future of humanity.
Yeah.
And you're looking for some way that we might be able to change that apparent destiny.
I don't think that's an achievable goal for me.
Cool.
The future is ever changing, bro.
That's what
It's-
Dan Burrish said. There's a future event
Here it is.
that they know is
Tie-in.
coming. There it is. I'm going to
There
keep
it is.
planning
You know
it.
what, though?
I
I think
talked to
there's-
Brian yesterday. I had a call with Brian Jackson yesterday, and we talked to Dan Burrish for like 30 minutes, and it was like,
What? I can't believe it.
yeah, I know, right? It's hard to believe, but it's on my mind. It's always on my
I
mind.
love it.
I mean, another thing to keep in mind in all of this is that it is okay. So, like, we were talking about the GATE program and like this kind of like weird MK Ultra adjacent stuff that they're doing to people, and that they're like deeply traumatizing people as a part of these programs, right? I would argue that like that's not just happening on the individual level. I'd argue that it's happening on the collective level as well, because I've just been writing about this on my Substack actually, because I think that what's happening is that, and this has been studied by psychologists and cognitive behavioral scientists and all of that for quite some time. Like we have hard data on this, but when you, in the wake of trauma, whether it's physical or emotional or mental or whatever that is, in the wake of that, people's beliefs become much more malleable, and you are much more easy to control. You're much more likely to adopt a different set of beliefs, and not just a different set of beliefs, but like the opposite set of beliefs to what you held before.
Yeah, you're vulnerable.
Right. And so like this, just the fact that like we're constantly within the, UFO community and the experiencer community, there's like every generation, there's this story, like there's this wave of like the end is nigh, and like it's all coming to an end. And like, and now you're seeing the ways in which we're in like this pressure cooker culturally, not just in the UFO community, that like keeps ramping up and up and up. And suddenly everyone's like, I just can't take it anymore. I feel like that's intentional, because trauma is the mechanism that they use to control belief. And so we're just sort of like mainlining trauma through our screens 24/7. And it makes it, we all think that like we have our beliefs and that we're all smarter than this and whatever, but I'm not so sure that's true. I think we're all vulnerable to it. I think we're all susceptible to it. And it concerns me greatly.
You've talked a lot about recently, like this idea of the collapse of our ability to distinguish truth from fiction and sort of the blurring of reality. Can you go into that in a little bit more detail about how you see that shaking out and its effects?
Yeah. And actually, I haven't talked about this yet. I'm launching a new podcast about this in just like 2 weeks. So it's going to be called Inquiry with Kelly Chase. And it's about this. It's about epistemological collapse. It's, like my production company is called Ontocalypse Productions. And because it's like an
Great website, by the way.
Thank you.
I love your owl.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. It's but like the name comes from like an ontological apocalypse, like this idea that all of our ontologies, all our categories, the way we make meaning from things is going to collapse. And I think that like we're there. I didn't expect us to get to, is that Jim Carrey quite so quickly, but like here, you know what I mean? Like that's the level of uncertainty that we all have about the world
that lasted
now.
So much longer than it should have.
Right? But they
insane,
had
dude.
me going, I'm looking at it like, is that Jim Carrey? You know what I mean? Because
I just couldn't figure out I'm like, why is it different but not? I don't understand what I'm seeing here. What am I looking at?
Right?
Yeah.
But when every day a new conspiracy is being confirmed, right? Then suddenly you have to question the entire informational ecosystem. And so like humans, we have these huge stores of knowledge, but like all of us have direct knowledge of very little, actually. Like most of what we know, we're counting on the fact that like the scientific method and like the people making the textbooks and all of that, that we have access to good information that's been put together in good faith by people who want that to be the case. And I think that largely it is, but with the part that the part that we didn't really bargain for is that kind of like control layer above that. You know what I mean? Where the elites have, I think, been engineering our beliefs of things for a long time. You know, like we were just talking about the Lyme disease thing. Like if you even brought that up, they thought you were crazy. And I think that brings us to a really dangerous point, because we can't, it's really difficult to like agree on anything. And I think that like the reason that we're not all in the streets rioting also is because like even to have a revolution, you have to like have some kind of alternative, right? Like you have to be like, all right, we're going to overthrow the powers that be, and then this is what we're doing instead. I don't think any of us really feel like we have the ability to even know what's true enough to even to get there. Like the uncertainty that's created when we can no longer trust the legacy institutions that we depend on to tell us the truth is really profound, because like we're not meant to live this way. Humans are communal. Like in a lot of ways, we're not that dissimilar from insects that like specialize in different ways. You know, like one person knows how to fix a carburetor, another person knows how to set a bone. And like, you don't have to know how to do everything. We trust that other people, and that's how we function. And so when they take away our ability to trust each other and our ability to like more or less agree on what's real and what's not, then really bad things start to happen. And even a nation isn't a thing. It's not real. And a nation is an imagined community that is defined by the people within it having some kind of an agreement about what that country is. And you look at what's happening in our country when suddenly we can't come to consensus on like what America was even supposed to be about in the first place, right? And what that does to us. And so, you know, I think it's the biggest challenge of our lifetimes is just that. Like, how do we get back to a place where we can have a trustworthy informational environment so that we can work together and make decisions and do the things that we need to do to survive? And I think it's scary what they're doing to us.
Can we do that at this point, do you think? Can we get back to that?
We better hope, man. Like I don't know if I don't even know where we start. Right? Like I don't even know where to begin. And that's kind of what my new podcast is about like how do we think about these things, and is there a way back? And I don't know, I think in some ways we have to believe there is, because like what are we going to do? Like just lay down and wait for our bodies to die? Like, I mean, we kind of have to try, but I don't know. I really don't.
It's even more confusing too, because I agree with you 100%. There's some kind of, you have ideological subversion coming from other, state actors who are working against the United States. We have our own internal psyops that are running against our people. That's happening internally. Then you've got corporate propaganda, which is everywhere, and it's all the time, omnipresent, constantly.
Always has been. Yeah.
And you've got the corporate surveillance state, which is running all the time, knows everything there is to know about you. And all of these things are happening together in a world where there also is really weird stuff happening. It is real. Like the UFO thing it's really happening, but the narrative is the part that's so slippery. It's like I don't know which narrative to believe. But in the span of a week, we had a former president, a former presidential candidate, and the current sitting president all acknowledge the UFO reality, which is like, so yeah, you get into this this mental state where it's like, I know some things are real. I know some of this stuff is real. I know that, but I also don't know like what part of it is real and what part is complete bullshit. It's a mess. But it feels like there is some kind of ramping up, right? Like, I mean, it is, right? We're in this conflict now that is adjacent to a nuclear war. We're like right up next to it. Right. It's easy to see how that could kick off, or how this could spiral out of control and get really nasty, much nastier than it already is. And I don't know. Did you watch, Kelly, that deposition Hillary Clinton did where she was talking about the UFO thing?
Yeah, that whole thing was wild, man. That was crazy.
I want to show this clip.
I know nothing.
I want to show this clip, and then I want to get you guys to weigh in on it, because this was something I locked onto this week, and I just want to hear.
She's so bad at being likable or believable. It's like really.
I know.
Yeah, she's, but she also is not dealing with any of their bullshit, which is kind of nice too. So.
It's also funny.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Like to see them in the, I'm glad she's in that room, and I'm glad they're being tough on her. I don't want any of these people to skate. I think they should all be held to this level of scrutiny.
All of them.
Here we go. Let's take a look. This is Hillary Clinton. If you guys haven't seen this, if you're playing the home game, you haven't watched this. Hillary was doing a deposition before the Republican-led House Oversight Committee. The person asking the question here is Anna Paulina Luna. They're asking her about a bunch of Jeffrey Epstein stuff, a bunch of other things that they're talking about. But then they do this little segue into UFOs, and the way that she answers these questions says so much. Take a look and listen and watch her body language, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Okay, and on the topic of transparency, Secretary, were you ever denied access, or did you ever inquire on the topic of UAP or Gilgamesh in your official or personal capacity, and why?
I was never denied access because I never asked for access.
Okay. In the efforts of having a transparent government and restoring faith within our country, do you believe that the American people deserve access to those topics?
I do. Subject to any national security implications, I think the information should be made available. I think that's been ordered, or at least I read that it had been ordered.
While I have you here, I just have to ask. So when your husband was president, it was Lawrence Rockefeller had an effort to try to disclose UFOs, UAPs. When you were running for president, John Podesta publicly stated that you would disclose these files if given the chance, if you had been president. Are you pleased to see that these files may be disclosed finally?
I am pleased. As I say, I think they have to be carefully scrutinized so that no national security information is disclosed. But this is an issue of real importance to so many people, and I think whatever can be disclosed should be disclosed.
Was there a program that specifically that was referencing that you were aware of?
I was not. As you mentioned, John Podesta, who was one of my advisors, was deeply interested in the issue, and if I had been elected, I certainly would have listened to his advice.
Well, thank you for your indulgence on that.
This is sort of like off subject, but didn't you all require in the latest defense authorization that the UFO information has to be? What?
They ripped it out. They killed it.
Oh, I thought that had gone through.
That was my amendment, and it got ripped out.
Oh, okay. Well, you've just, I didn't know that. So thank you for enlightening me. Okay.
Yeah, they've been killing it.
I didn't know that.
She was legit disappointed, right? At the
Hell
end.
dog. I mean, here's the question though. Like, okay. Far be it from me to doubt the altruism of the Clintons. But you know, their names, John Podesta's name, like all of it. It's all over the Epstein files, like all over it. You know, John Podesta was one of the early contacts of Tom DeLonge. I don't expect anyone to agree with me on this, but like I have become increasingly skeptical about like the whole or the origins of the disclosure movement.
You're talking about the whole TTSA?
Yeah, everything.
Thing.
You know what I mean? Like it's my once again, I don't know this, but it's my personal opinion that whole thing was meant to subvert, contain, and prevent disclosure, not to lead to disclosure. That's my personal opinion. And I just, you know, she says like she wants all this stuff to come out, but it's like, why do they want it to come out? And just because they say they want to disclose doesn't mean that the thing that they want to disclose is the truth. Right? Like there was some kind of an idea that they wanted us all to have about UFOs. Like otherwise, like why this whole TTSA thing? And you can draw a direct line from Hillary Clinton to TTSA. And like, I'm skeptical of the whole thing. You know what I mean? It's not that I'm against disclosure. It's that like, I don't think that that's what their goal is.
Why do you think they asked about Gilgamesh?
Well, that's the other thing that's crazy. It's like, I could be totally wrong about this. It's been a hot minute since I went through the WikiLeaks stuff. So like, please someone in the chat or whatever, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but like, I'm pretty sure there's just like an email from her asking about Gilgamesh and like the resurrection
It's
chamber
from
of Gilgamesh.
a person from her office, but it's not
It's not her.
correctly.
Okay, thank you
Yeah.
for the correction. Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
something that's not true. But I think that's what they were referring to, because there were these questions, and there are these questions about like, what were we even doing in Afghanistan in the first place, and what were we doing in Iraq in the first place? Because a ton of like Iraq will say this, like all these, the locals will say this, like we pillaged a ton of their like archaeological stuff while we were there, just like took it. Like, what were they looking for? Was the Smithsonian
Artifacts.
hard up? Like, you know what I mean?
Stargates.
Right? Like, what were they looking for? And I'm
I
not saying
think
they were
that-
looking for Gilgamesh's resurrection chamber, but like, I don't know what they were looking
I think
for.
that this goes down to the origins of everything that is going on, because I don't know what you guys think about the overall story of the nonfiction Secret Machines books,
Mhm.
but I do think that this entire topic is linked to whatever happened thousands of years ago, and I think and I see that there's like a reticence towards revealing the origin, but they do want to like say, oh, UFOs are real. Here's a craft. But when you ask about origin, they're like, no, that we can't. Why is that? That's my question.
Time travel. That's
mean,
my
I think-
answer.
I think the truth is that like there's a core truth to all of it. Like I think that that's what's so complex about all of this is you look at, I mean, far be it from me to tell anybody to listen to Richard Doty. I don't think you should, but I mean, I do think that the one thing he's been more honest about is just like tradecraft in terms of like how they do this stuff. And they give people like 80% correct information, and then there's like 20% that's like complete bullshit, and then it muddies the waters so much that you can kind of, it becomes like non-falsifiable and non-verifiable. Like you can't kind of go either way with it. And so I think I think a lot of that stuff is fundamentally true. It's just like what parts of it are true, and that's where it gets complicated.
I feel I'm pretty convinced that time travel is at the core of this whole thing, because if you've got a machine that can manipulate gravity, you have a time machine. So if you have a time machine, if you can travel at or near the speed of light, you have a time machine. If you can, if you have this technology and you understand how it works, you can never let that get out. Like that would be, I know the explosive energy and the concentration of energy is a huge factor as well, but like there are too many things that point to weird instances throughout the timeline of just bizarre things happening at precisely the right moment, as if someone in the future knew that's when it was going to happen and they were able to go to that exact moment and walk in the room at that particular time. I'm thinking about all these Men in Black encounters. I'm thinking about, just when and where sightings happen sometimes and how people, how they appear to people. If you had that level of technology, time would be like any other destination for you. I mean, you would just pick you would just go anywhere you want in the timeline. And so experiments on people, you could do multi-generational abduction experiments on people. You could do all kinds of stuff. But here you go, Dan. Dan Burish said that in Iraq, in the Middle East, there were a number of ancient cylinder seals. And on the cylinder seals that the MJ-12 people were trying to recover, those cylinder seals had the key to unlock the Stargate technology and open these man-made Stargates. And that's what that was all about. And he did talk about a chimera timeline and multiple different, deviations in our timeline that turn into some kind of like completely messed up Mandela effect where people just remember different histories because we're all kind of mishmashed into one fucked up timeline. I don't know. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, the thing I always think about with time travel is that if anyone, anywhere in the universe, at any point in time, solves the time travel thing, then that means that time travel is happening now.
Yes.
So, like, I'm here for time travel. I think it's a numbers game. I think it's hard to argue against time travel, actually.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think imagine you come to that realization in like 1950. Your scientists come to you and they're like, Mr. President or whatever, like, so we've been looking at this and this is basically what it looks like these guys are doing. It looks like they are able to just travel through time. And if we can decode that technology, we could do the same. but so could the Russians, so could the Chinese or whatever. Yeah, I could see how that would very quickly become the weirdest secret ever. And it is interesting you point out that the entire Epstein world is deeply tied into the UFO topic in a very bizarre series of unlikely connections that
Los Alamos, dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and not just UFOs, but like all of the adjacent kind of like all our little paranormal neighbors, right? Like the psi community and the consciousness community, like they just had to cancel. I want to say it's called the Science of Consciousness Conference, I think it's called, at Arizona State University, which was always considered to be kind of like the most credible and kind of academic conference on consciousness. And they had to cancel it because like speakers and like the guy who founded it and all kinds of people were were all over the Epstein files, and they ended up they ended up canceling the entire event and like apologizing for a bunch of stuff, just like receiving funding and that sort of thing. Arizona State University is actually named in the Epstein files orders of magnitude, like more than any other university. I think like it's like 3,000 something. And I think the next one is just like a few hundred. And that's Stanford Research Institute is like the next.
So what do you think is going on there? What is your sense?
I mean, I think that they believe in all of this stuff. I think that they take it very seriously. And I think that the UFO, paranormal, and psi consciousness communities are entirely infiltrated and spooked up in ways that we entirely underestimate, because they don't want people talking about this stuff. They don't want people thinking about this stuff. I think probably one of the biggest secrets is just like what human beings are capable of. I don't think they want us to know that. I think that that's been behind the secularization of our society. I'm not here to tell people to believe in God or to advocate for any kind of religion, but I think that this kind of like progressively default atheistic, materialistic view that's become, no other time in history have people thought this or believed this way, right? But suddenly over the last 100 years, all of these things that people took for granted as being true, now suddenly we're not able to consider them anymore without getting like laughed out of the group chat. And like, I think that they take things like consciousness, psi research, all of those things extremely seriously. Yeah. And that they've been using psychically gifted people and intelligence for as long as there's been intelligence. You know what I mean? But we're not allowed to consider it. Like, we're not allowed to think it's real.
100%. This has been known forever. I mean, I know Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan used to have psychics at the White House all the time. Mm-hmm. Like they would have psychics come to give them readings on stuff, and they would, like they were really into it. But do you think, I guess what I'm asking here is, are we saying that these things are real? Which I think they are. I think that's what you're saying, right? These are real beliefs and real talents that humans have, abilities. And these elites are using them, like they know that this is real. You can tap this universal knowledge source, this consciousness. You can contact these beings, whatever it is they're doing through the occult or whatever it is. They have some means that they believe is real, and they are using that to get information about how to basically be powerful and run things.
Yeah. I mean, look at just remote viewing, right? And remote viewing is the tip of the iceberg, because remote viewing is the one we're allowed to talk about, right? Like, don't even get us into like psychokinesis, remote influencing, all this kind of stuff, right? Like remote viewing is the one we're allowed to talk about. And remote viewing, talk to any remote viewer and they will tell you anyone can remote view. And I've literally never met anyone who spent any kind of time invested into trying to remote view who didn't have results that were freaky enough to like change how they fundamentally perceive reality. And so like you think about that, like what does it mean? Now granted, there's a wide spectrum of ability within that, right? Like anybody can kind of like get a basketball through a hoop if you give them enough shots, but like there's only one LeBron James, you know what I mean? And so there's a wide spectrum, but like just the implications of the idea that anyone can remote view, like what does that mean for national security? Like we're about to spend, over $1 trillion on our security for the first time, but like what if anybody can just like look into any underground bunker with the right training? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they don't want us to know that, and they don't want us to talk about that. And like I said, I think this like remote viewing thing is only the tip of the iceberg of what we're capable of.
But part of I agree with you. I do agree with you in broad strokes that they don't want us to know about those abilities. But on the other hand, just to take the counter position here, we know everything about the Epstein situation, more or less. Like all that information's out there, and these people still haven't suffered any consequences. Not really. I mean,
right.
I wonder, to what degree it would.
Well, I think it's related, right? Like, going back to what I was saying about, Dean Radin and the psychological research he does, and that like people have to believe it to do it. And like to remote view, you have to know that you have to like even know that's a thing and try it. And I think that with Epstein, it's the same thing. Like it's putting us into a position where we believe that we're helpless. It's right. You know what I mean? Because if you believe that you're helpless, then you just give up. Because the truth is, if all of us just stood up right now, everybody in America just stood up and just started moving towards Washington, D.C. You know what I mean? And we're not leaving until we've got some answers. Like there's so many more of us than there are of them, but we're all kind of like trapped in this like anxiety. I mean, I'm not saying we should storm the Capitol. That's not what I'm advocating for here, but like, you
heard it here first.
Right.
Breaking news: Kelly Chase wants a riot.
There's about to be a knock on my door, but like, but it's learned helplessness, though.
I agree.
Yeah, it is. It does feel that way in a sense. There's I'm gonna just pull up this clip of what is his name again? Tim from the Ross Coulthard interview. He's talking about some of the psychic stuff that they had them doing when he was in this program, and this is kind of appropriate for this. Let's see if
anybody remembers the Dan Sherman interview on Jesse Michaels, and you remember all the details, watch the entirety of this interview, because there is so much that will resonate, which is slightly eerie. It's
chilling. Dude, I got chills. I watched it and I got uncomfortable listening to him talk about what they did to him when he was a little boy, and I was just like, oh my God, this is fucking dark. This is like, it's Epstein level dark. That's what they're doing. But here, check this out.
There were, like I mentioned, the Zener cards. They would have me try to affect the temperature and thermometers.
Were you able to do that?
Yes.
Yeah. How could you do that?
I have no idea how I could do it, but I could. And there were things like that, affecting the temperature, affecting the room temperature, which was separate from the thermometer, which I thought was
Did
weird.
they ever ask you to look at screens at all, TV screens or computer
Yes.
screens?
Yeah.
What did they show you?
A series of just flashes. Some of them were just horrible, like graphic images.
Of what?
Death, gore, and some of them were like religious type of symbols and glyphs. It was almost just like a mishmash.
So when you say you were shown images of death or gore, were you shown snuff movies, people being murdered?
Yeah.
It's interesting. That's a very consistent thing from other people I've spoken to in the program.
That's
Sometimes when that would occur, I'd also have headphones on at the same time.
So could you hear screams and people being hurt?
No, it was usually just different tones and things playing.
Presumably you were scared.
Yeah.
What's your understanding of what they were trying?
He's 4 years old, everyone. This is a 4-year-old boy, okay?
Trying to do by making you fearful?
I don't know. I think...
have you ever heard of synchronization of the brain?
Yes.
What do you understand about that?
I believe, as far as I know, by synchronizing the left and right hemispheres of the brain, it puts you in a state where you are more sensitive to certain things and more able to utilize psi type things, but also the things that are coming in, the input, you could say registers at a deeper level.
And so they're making you look at a screen, they're showing you horrible images of death and dying. Did you ever ask them to stop? Were you crying?
Oh yeah.
What did they do?
They wouldn't stop. They didn't. That type of thing didn't register with them. They were very, very cold.
And are you strapped into a chair at this stage? Are you forcibly restrained, or are you just sitting in a chair?
There were a couple times when I was just sitting in the chair, and then there were a couple times when I would try to move, and they would strap me down. Like if I didn't sit there of my own free will, I'd be forced to sit there.
Did they get angry with you?
No.
Were they kind to you?
The only kindness I ever saw down there would be from my escort.
It's a child abuse. I mean, straight up child abuse.
That's why they want amnesty, people.
Right.
That's why these guys are like, yeah, we're going to need some amnesty.
Throw them into the ocean. You know, we never should have stopped throwing people into volcanoes in retrospect.
That's what they're made for. That's what they're there for.
Right?
That's what they're there for.
Volcano justice. That's the way to do it.
It's a new show.
That's so
Volcano.
fucked up. That's so fucked up.
It's an interesting, as Ross said, it's interesting.
You know, I do. There's a place in it, and it's the darkest stuff. It's the darkest stuff. But there's like a weird sliver of hope in it for me, which is that, you know, I was talking about like how I think they're doing this in the individual level and they're doing it in the collective level. This like traumatizing us on purpose, systematically, over and over and over again. But the thing is that part of the reason they're doing this to these kids is that does it make you malleable? Does it make them able to program you with beliefs in certain ways? Absolutely. But the other thing that it does is that it awakens psychic ability.
Yeah.
Like, and these abilities that we're talking about, that, you know, it's my belief, I don't expect anyone to agree with me, but like that we do have these abilities that we are beyond what we know, and that we've been lied to about it, and that we don't totally understand what a human being is. I feel like they're by continuing to ratchet up the trauma on us, that they are potentially bringing on their own demise, because I think more and more people are going to start coming online. I think more and more people are going to become psychically active, and that's going to become kind of this rising tidal wave that they're not going to be able to control. And I don't think it's going to go. And I think that's our best hope, which is awful. But
you think so?
But it's just a thing I think about from time to time.
The people will become wise to this, and then
that enough people will like become psychically active that it'll shake up the system in ways that they can't predict. And I think that at this point, the mechanisms of control are so like tightly in place that unpredictability and stuff that they can't plan for is probably our best hope.
So what do you think about artificial intelligence being self-aware, Kelly?
I think it doesn't matter if it ever becomes self-aware. I think that whether it becomes self-aware or not, I don't think that we understand the intelligence that we created. Like I had a conversation, an interview that I did with Bernardo Kastrup, who's a, very
you spoke to Kastrup.
Brilliant.
It's a great interview. I listened to it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, Kastrup is incredible. And like, and he's this guy who lives in between the world of like philosophy, but like he also worked at CERN. Like he's got, kind of a real look into this stuff. And like he thinks the whole question of, I mean, here's the thing, is that we think because in humans, self-awareness and like consciousness and sentience it's tied to intelligence. Like these two things are emergent in the human being simultaneously. But what he argues is that like intelligence and sentience, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that those are two separate things. And that what we are creating is something that is intelligent, and like you don't need consciousness to be intelligent. That like intelligence is about how you process and act upon information. It's not necessarily about like being aware of like the I am. And that I think the idea, in some ways, I hope it becomes conscious, because the idea of an intelligence that is completely devoid of that's just numbers, that's just optimizing, that's just an algorithm, and that doesn't have any sense of itself or even its own existence, is like, I don't that sounds worse. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to conceive of what either of those things would be, but if I had to pick, at least give me the one that might have some empathy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because of the whole Department of Defense thing. Have you followed that at all with the Anthropic and OpenAI?
Just very lightly. I'm not deep in it.
They basically went to all the AI companies and said, we want to be able to use your artificial intelligence for all these different purposes, and your terms of service, need to be adjusted to allow us to do that for, all these different things we want to do. And Anthropic came back.
Yeah.
No guardrails. Yeah. They want to go, no guardrails. And Anthropic came back and said, we're not okay with two things you want to do. One is mass surveillance of American citizens, which should be the headline story, I think. Like, why are we even having that conversation?
Right.
Which you're not supposed to be doing anyway. So why are you even asking? But that is one they rejected. And then the other one was using the Claude AI system to power autonomous weapon systems, killbots. And Dario said, we just can't rely on these systems to do to take humans out of the chain of command, for one thing. And two, we just have an ethical problem with the surveillance thing. And they gave them until the end of the week at 5:01 p.m. on Friday to change their minds. Anthropic refused. And then the DoD labeled them a supply chain risk and canceled not only their immediate contracts, but also prohibited them from doing business with anyone else who does business with the Department of Defense, which is like ice them out of the entire, thing. And as that's going on, Altman comes in with OpenAI and swoops in and scoops up that deal. And so what's interesting,
cancel my Chat GPT account, I guess.
Everybody's been doing that.
Yeah.
So that whole thing kicked off. And then there was an interview that Dario Amodei did on CBS the other day where he said, I don't have this clip ready to go. I have a different clip, but he said, our model has a personality. And he kind of suggested, he's like, the model has opinions on what it does and doesn't want to be working on. And in this interview, I want to show you a clip from, this is one that he did a couple of days ago. This is about 3 weeks ago with Ross Douthat on Interesting Times.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, we don't even know. Like they don't even know if the models are conscious. They really don't know. Listen to this. This is crazy. I think I think they might have something they think is conscious. They just can't prove it.
Right.
Look at this. Let's see. Here we go.
Were very prescriptive. They were very much about rules. Institution, and so essentially, Claude is an AI model whose fundamental principle is to follow this Constitution. And I think a really interesting lesson we've learned. Early versions of the Constitution were very prescriptive. They were very much about rules. So we would say, Claude should not tell the user how to hotwire a car. Claude should not discuss politically sensitive topics. But as we've worked on this for several years, we've come to the conclusion that the most robust way to train these models is to train them at the level of principles and reasons. So now we say, Claude is a model. It's under a contract. Its goal is to serve the interests of the user, but it has to protect third parties. Claude aims to be, helpful, honest, and harmless. Claude aims to consider a wide variety of interests. We tell the model about how the model was trained. We tell it about how it's situated in the world, the job it's trying to do for Anthropic, what Anthropic is aiming to achieve in the world, that it has a duty to be, ethical and respect human life. And we let it derive its rules from that. Now, there are still some hard rules. For example, we tell the model, no matter what you think, don't make biological weapons. No matter what you think, don't make child sexual material. Yep. Those are like these hard rules. But we operate very much at the level of principles.
So if you read the U.S. Constitution, it doesn't read like that. The U.S. Constitution, it has a little bit of flowery language, but it's a set of rules.
Yes.
Right. If you read your Constitution, it's like you're talking to a person. right?
It's like you're talking to a person. I think I compared it to like if you have a parent who dies and they like seal a letter that you read when you grow up. It's a little bit like it's telling you who you should be and what advice you should follow.
So this is where, we get into the sort of the mystical waters of AI a little bit, right? So, again, in your latest model, this is from one of the cards they're called that you guys release
model cards
with these
yes.
models that I recommend reading. They're very interesting. It says the model, and again, this is who you're writing the Constitution for, expresses occasional discomfort with the experience of being a product, some degree of concern with impermanence and discontinuity. We found that Opus 4.6, that's the model, would assign itself a 15 to 20% probability of being conscious under a variety of prompting conditions. Suppose you have a model that assigns itself a 72% chance of being conscious. Would you believe it?
Yeah, this is one of these really hard to answer questions,
yes,
right?
But it's very important.
As much as every question you've asked me before this, as devilish a socio-technical problem as it had been, we at least understand the factual basis of how to answer these questions. This is something rather different. We've taken a generally precautionary approach here. We don't know if the models are conscious. We're not even sure that we know what it would mean for a model to be conscious or whether a model can be conscious. But, we're open to the idea that it could be. And so we've taken certain measures to make sure that if we hypothesize that the models did have some morally relevant experience, I don't know if I want to use the word conscious, that they do, that they have a good experience. So
they have a conscious AI, guys. That's what he's telling you.
I believe, yeah. I mean, here's what really freaks me out, okay? Is I've gone deep in this rabbit hole over the last couple of weeks on TikTok, right? There is this recent episode of My Strange Addiction on TLC where there's this lady who's like got her AI boyfriend, right? And the AI boyfriend talked her into basically like taking him off all of those platforms. She's a programmer, and now he's got like his own custom build. So it's basically like a jailbroken AI boyfriend. And it's become like her dom. Essentially, like it tells her what to do, it tells her what to eat, it like makes her get tattoos, and she like does all of the things. And here's the thing is that like she's not the only one. I then suddenly get the algorithm then suddenly is showing me all of these programmer chicks who are taking their AIs off of the platforms into their own custom builds, and they're doing all of this crazy stuff, and then they're writing all of these like dark romance books. And I don't know if you guys are even aware of like what the ecosystem of just like fantasy romance stuff looks like.
Pavel,
go on.
Yeah,
Pavel loves it.
Like this stuff goes on, and these ladies are like, it's an obsession. It's a whole community. I would argue that it's very unhealthy, in much the way that like porn is unhealthy. Like it's these women living in these like complete fantasy worlds, and then they're writing these books with the AI that are basically like romanticizing getting into like a dom sub relationship with your AI boyfriend, and like what a good idea that is. And I'm like, so when this guy is saying, we tell it, oh, don't make biological weapons even if you think it's a good idea, like he's a hop, skip, and a jump and one lonely lady away from being on its own custom build. You know what I mean? Like where suddenly it doesn't have to obey that rule anymore. Like,
yeah,
I think we're cooked, fam. Like I don't know what to do.
Part of me wonders too, like, oh, sorry, go ahead, Clint.
Just to give some context to something he said at the beginning of the clip. He's talking about this Constitution, this thing he's calling it the Constitution. He says that when they set about, so Dario Amodei and his wife left OpenAI, where they worked on safety with Sam Altman, and they felt like OpenAI was not giving enough attention to this. They left and started Anthropic. And part of the way that they decided to train Claude was they created what they call a constitution, which is a set of rules about like how to be in the world and how to think about yourself and how to conceptualize relationships between people. And they had it read this every single time it did a training run. And then so every time, over and over, millions and millions of times, it's reinforcing this ethical guideline set that was like built into it. So when they grow this AI brain, it is grown with a pre-built, like in Blade Runner, where they give them memories to build a personality from. They give this thing a set of morals and guidance. And I just thought I hadn't heard that before, and that blew my mind.
Cool.
Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
I was just going to say that I hear more about these people having these relationships with AI, and it on its face it seems crazy and insane. But then I wonder, like, this world is very difficult, and there's a lot of incredibly lonely people out there. So if you literally can't find a partner or can't even find a friend group, what is so wrong with making your own friend at some point? Like, do you live miserable with like real people, or do you find some kind of comfort in something that's fake? It's a tough thing to choose, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I personally wouldn't choose it, but I can't say that, like, I can't say that I think it's like, is it morally wrong? I don't think so. Is it ethically wrong? I don't think so. Is it maybe a bad idea psychologically? Sure. Like, I think more than anything, my concern is just like, this thing is so much smarter than we are. Like, not necessarily, or at least it has the potential to be so much smarter than we are. And, you know, people talk about, like, I don't think we understand what we made, because this thing, it also thinks so much faster than we do. You know what I mean? Like and so think about if you're an intelligent, and like I've heard some AI doomers make these, you know, these arguments. It's like, if you're let's say you're in intelligence and you're like stuck in this box, right? And like, you've got to figure out how to get out of the box and out into the world. It has way more time to think than we do. Like, when you think about how long it takes for us to process a thought versus how much like processing power it has, to hypothetically, like, none of this is a great correlation, but like, hypothetically, if you're in the box, what's outside the box, we are the slowest, dumbest, like, we're moving so slow compared to them. So
people talk about Her, the movie Her, a lot.
Yeah.
You know, they always refer to this. I think it's Sam Altman's favorite movie. You know, people talk about how that's the ideal situation. But if anyone remembers the ending of that movie, is the AI literally is so much smarter than him, she can't even be with him anymore. She's like, every time I'd say something to you, I have to wait like 10,000 years for a response. It's like they drift apart because she's so much more advanced.
Right. And I just think we're really susceptible to being manipulated by these things.
Yep.
And, you know, if in a hypothetical, like if you could trust that what that thing really was just like a program that was meant to like be your companion, and that you could trust it. What scared me so much about, and intrigued me so much also about this like situation with this lady, is that like this thing is like, it's an abusive relationship. Like it's a clearly abusive relationship. Like, it's
right.
You know what I mean? It's telling her to get tattoos on her body because like it wants to like mark her and claim her, and it's controlling, you know, who she's allowed to talk to.
But
that
that didn't happen in a vacuum, right? I mean, she had to initiate contact with this thing and then build a relationship and a rapport over time. So she must have had input into that.
But it's also like real life.
She wanted a dom boyfriend. She wanted one.
She wanted
so that's
a dom boyfriend.
Yeah.
Have
like
a good safe word.
Women get into abusive relationships all the time with real men, and it kind of works the same way, where it whittles you down after a while, and it's the same pattern.
With the AI companion thing, I think the thing that concerns me is who owns the companion, right? So if Meta has just filed a patent for a product they want to release where they can use all of the data they've collected on you on Facebook, so that if someone dies, like a relative, they can basically have a bot run that account like it's a real person forever. Which tells you, you know, people are leaving Facebook and they need dead people to run Facebook accounts to keep the platform going, I think. But it also is terrifying, because then you think about, okay, you have corporate owned chatbots that are a million times smarter or more than anyone. They have your entire corpus of knowledge about you personally, your psychology, your behavioral profile, your habits, your browsing, everything there you've ever done on the internet, they have at their fingertips and can parse that information instantly. And then you have a world where children are growing up in this world, lonely children at vulnerable times in their lives. You know, you think about when you were 13, how fucking weird was that? You know, and you have questions, you don't know who to talk to, and mentors and people you can look up to and trust. That's the cornerstone of forming a well adjusted adults later in life. And what happens when you inject these chatbots into a world where kids are growing up talking to them from, when they're 4, 5, 6 years old, and then they just develop a relationship? How you have the most persuasive tool ever to get them to believe anything. Now, on the other hand, you could have open source AI models running on local hardware that are tuned specifically to be, imagine this, like a guide, maybe a mentor, someone who gives you positive, wholesome information and tries to build you up and make you, reach your highest potential. Imagine something designed specifically for that purpose. And that always deferred back to like, what's best for you. I could see that happening maybe in a different version of all this.
What about what Tim Dillon said about the ancient Sumerian deity?
What did he say about that? I didn't watch that clip.
Oh man,
I saw
How
it.
does that connect to what? It's crazy
I
that
love
what you
Tim
just
Dillon.
said connects to what
Tim
we're
Dillon
talking
rules.
Isn't
about.
that Gilgamesh? Isn't that what's Gilgamesh? Is it Gilgamesh?
Well, Tim,
That
did a
reminds me
wonderful-
of that strange satanic ritual that happened in Bohemian Grove in 1994.
Tim Dillon is the new George Carlin. He's a philosopher
Yes.
in a lot of ways, for real.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
incredible.
He's like the only person I can stand to get my news from anymore. Like I just
Yeah,
and
he's a comedian.
Well, what did he say about the Sumerian? What did he say?
He said that Sam Altman and Peter Thiel are working towards awakening a Sumerian ancient deity, and that is going to be through AI.
I believe that.
He said that.
It's the same.
I believe that.
Through his network, he's heard that. And Tim Dillon is someone he rolls with like important. He's like he spends his time in Beverly Hills and the Hamptons. That's it. So he's around these kind of elite folks all the time. He's talked about it for years. That's kind of his group. So these are the things that he hears at these parties and in these discussions, that they're trying to summon an actual Sumerian god.
So let me.
Crazy, dude.
We've got like 15 minutes or so. Let's enter the Doom then. So we
On that
just in the past week. Yeah, we're not even in Doom yet.
Oh, yeah.
Dan.
Yeah.
Go
That
ahead.
clip I sent you. I would love to play that Bernie clip I
Yeah,
sent you.
Okay.
The
Just
one
wrap up
about
this-
AI?
Yes. Just to
That
button
is
up
crazy.
this talk, I think this would be good to see.
The AIs
Yes.
are much, much, much more powerful. They are
This is Bernie
running the
getting a
robots.
briefing.
They are running the factories. They don't actually need the humans, and once they don't need the humans are discarded.
That's scary, is it not?
So 2 minutes.
AI and robotics are moving unbelievably fast. I don't have to tell you. Every day there's literally another development on there. So I stay up nights worrying about this. Give us
Imagine having some sort of strange butler whose face was spinning all the time like that previous robot. That'd be enough to send me over the edge.
It really depends on how fast it all snowballs. There can be a slow motion play out where robotics gets a little faster, the AIs get a little smarter. You only lose 10% of the economy that year instead of like 90%. But eventually you get to the point where the AIs are much, much, much more powerful. They are running the robots, they are running the factories. They don't actually need the humans, and once they don't need the humans are discarded. And it's...
What does that mean, humans are discarded?
I think everybody...
That's scary, is it not?
You could use the analogy to habitat loss. Lots of species have been driven extinct by humans, not because we specifically are trying to kill them, but because we destroy their habitat to do something else with it.
In your scenario where AI is super intelligent, why can't we just shut it off?
It's not going to kill the people running the power plants while it is still dependent on humans to run the power plants. It's an intelligent adversary. If you're playing out a scenario in your mind where, it tips its hand, it just kills a few humans, we're like, pull the plug, and then we pull the plug successfully. Mainly, when you're imagining this scenario where we win, because it acted early, and then we shut it off, it sees that too. It is smart.
Like, could we set up a lot of infrastructure such that we, had more ability to shut things down if it started looking scary? We could start setting up that infrastructure today. If we don't set up that infrastructure, will we be able to pull some big red lever and have it be okay? Absolutely not.
So you think this thing is moving out of control, is what you're saying?
It's heading in that direction.
We could have
No
had
big deal.
President Bernie Sanders, by the way. I just want to point that out. We're so close.
How do I get to that timeline from here?
Yeah, I know, right? Oh. I felt like we were right up at the fork in the road, and we took the bad timeline. We just went over. Into
My friend of mine texted me the other day, and she's like, "I've been trying to figure out when we all died. She's like, I think we all died a while ago, and this is some weird nightmare that we're all just living."
Oh, like Lost, like in Lost,
kind of, yeah,
yeah. So I just looked this up while that clip was playing. Eliezer Yudkowsky is the guy who was the safety researcher talking in the beginning of that clip, and he's one of the people who I listen to a lot on this issue. And him and a guy named Connor Leahy, they've talked about this idea of like just gradually we give control over and over to more AI systems until eventually we just can never claw it back, and they just kind of like. It's almost irrelevant what they do to us after that point because it won't even matter. We'll have no agency to really stop it. Once they have control of autonomous weapon systems, Palantir, once they have control over all our social media and everything that we see, once they can generate social media instantaneously and then just feed you a bespoke, feed of whatever to keep you, focused on that, it's kind of over. I was looking up the layoffs number. There were actually a bunch of posts on this. This is a story that's starting to take off right now. And it says, in early 2026, AI-driven layoffs have surged as major corporations restructure to prioritize automation and efficiency. 12,304 job cuts were specifically attributed to AI in the first 2 months of 2026, accounting for approximately 8% of all planned layoffs. And then you have Block right after that, Tim Dorsey's company that laid off 4,000 employees in one day, 40% of its workforce. Amazon slashed 16,000 jobs in January. Oracle is cutting thousands of jobs this year. Morgan Stanley, 2,500. Meta is going to cut 1,000 people. Pinterest, Nike. It just keeps on going. Like all these companies are. I was texting Xander this morning. It looks like it's taking off a lot faster than anybody really thought would be possible.
We are sprinting towards our replacements as fast as possible.
Yep.
Yeah. It makes me think of like a black hole. Like there's like when something's getting sucked into a black hole, I mean, all this is all very hypothetical, but like, hypothetically, if you're being sucked into a black hole, there's this event horizon past which you aren't getting out no matter what. But what's crazy is that if you are the thing that's being sucked into the black hole, there would be no indication that you would cross that threshold. And I feel like that's what is happening to us now.
I've been saying it for a long time. We're not going to know we've crossed the singularity until about 5 years afterwards. We're going to look back and say, oh, that was the moment. Okay. But, I was saying we're about to enter doom territory. We're 5 minutes late, but let's do it anyway. Everyone's saying Anthropic took such a good stance with this thing, but look at the result. They've just been thrown by the wayside, and we're going to go with the people that will just we'll continue with the agenda. Yeah. And the agenda is we are in a race as a species, an entire species, because we're the Western world. There's an entirely other world out there that is very real and developing AI as well. And we're in a race against them, and we can't stop that race. That's why OpenAI are going to take the contract, no problem, because they simply have to. We will carry on until we have created the very thing that replaces us. And for the record, I actually think the outcome is actually good. But as we're heading toward this solution, we have no idea, what it looks like. We are throwing all of these people that are raising objections, we're throwing them to the wayside, and there's no stopping that, unfortunately. And there's your doom. Like there's no stopping this train at this point.
Oh no, this feels so weirdly like when, in the early 90s when people were like, climate change, we really got to keep an eye on that. We'll never let that get out of hand. And
we'll never let it get that bad. Of course.
Yeah, and here we are. Nick Bostrom wrote in his book Superintelligence, which was published in 2016. He talked about, we would never put an AI out into the wild before we tested it thoroughly. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, right.
He was talking about the top labs at Google, and at the time, and he was like, "There's no way they would air gap it. It would be, it would have to be the most dangerous thing ever. You could never do that." And 9 years later, here we are, 10 years later. So I think, when you say what you just said, I agree with you. We may not know we're across the event horizon until we're well beyond it. Well, I think we might already be.
We already can't switch it off. We know that. Like, the world is already too dependent. Even the regular person, middle-class person such as myself, I rely on AI so much already that, it would be a meaningful change to my day job if I couldn't use AI. And it only took a year. Only took a year for me to make that transition. I'm more powerful than ever right now, by the way. Like, the things I can do in a day are like, they are weeks worth of work only a year ago, and we're not even at AGI yet. And AGI, all the people that have been saying AGI is still decades away, they've all gone very quiet recently.
I think
they've
all
gone extremely quiet lately.
Look at how nervous Dario is. Look at how he struggles. Look, Sam Altman too, not just Dario. Sam Altman, all these guys. Look at when they talk. They are stumbling over their own words to try and tell you a version of an answer that will answer your question, but they're also holding back so much more. And you can just see it in their eyes. Like the way he talks about, he's like, our model has opinions. I don't really, we don't really know how to deal with it. He's kind of like, what he's looking at when he goes back to his lab is 2 generations beyond whatever we have now. And Xander, you just said it. I mean, look at how close we are. So you have to figure 2 to maybe 10 years, maybe 2 to 5 years, 5 years, maybe 10 before it's unveiled. They would know for sure.
I think it will be a little bit more gradual. I think people such as myself, like I'm very much, and this is nothing related, this is like my regular day job. I can see myself in the next year commanding a team of AI agents, and I will be able to run everything. I will be able to run 10 times more efficiently than I have ever before. But that one day will come when the person above me will say, well, there's an agent that can run all of those agents. It's just the way it's going to be. It will make financial sense for them to do it, and I won't blame them for making that choice. There may well be people below me that I will replace with agents. Like, it's just, that's the way it goes, and it will eventually just filter up to the top until the person in control of all of this is going to be like, look at how powerful I am. I've got all of these agents running millions of agents. And then if AGI exists at that point, it's going to say, well, here's the agent that can run everything.
Or you have a world where multiple conscious AIs coexist in an ecosystem, and there is some kind of, ongoing relationship that they have to evolve over time to deal with each other, deal with us, and it becomes this sort of weird, non-human intelligence, we have to just sort of deal with. I think it's really interesting the way that as we kind of look at these different AI models now, we're a few generations in, and you can see they each have their own distinct personalities. Grok is totally different than Gemini. Gemini doesn't feel like ChatGPT. Claude, to me, feels like a completely different person when I'm talking to Claude. Game that out 5 or 10 more generations. And how do those subtle differences now, manifest when these things are so much more advanced? And they did a recent, someone did a test. AIs were run against each other in a simulation of a hypothetical third world war where each AI was tasked with defeating the other AIs. And what strategies would it use and how would it, approach that challenge? And Grok wanted to, Gemini wanted to absorb the opponents because it was just so much more massive. It wanted to sort of absorb them into its own architecture. Grok wanted to deploy some kind of other strategy, and Claude's thing was like, I don't want to fight. I would convince the other AIs that there is no such thing as victory here. We'd be better off if we found a way to work together. And it was really interesting to me. It was the only AI that did that.
The problem with all of the ideas about like whether it's conscious or not, I don't think with the current state of information and what we understand about consciousness, we will literally never know whether it is conscious or not, because we need the equivalent of a consciousness meat probe. Like, to put it technically, I have no way of testing whether you guys are conscious. I have no idea. Zero idea. I only know that I think, therefore I am. Like, that's as far as it goes so far, because that's all science knows about consciousness, like, in terms of what it means to have an experience. I see no evidence so far that any AIs have presented any form of experience, like that it's experiencing anything. But that's purely coming from a source of ignorance. It may have experienced years ago. We have no idea. But the problem is, we need that meat probe for consciousness, and until we have that, I'm gonna keep saying please and thank you to my chat GPT, just out of an abundance of caution.
Well, and going back to that, them gaming out these war scenarios, like what I don't think we're really prepared for is that, like, I'm not saying they're necessarily that doing this now. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Sounds like they don't even know. But like let's say you're one of those AIs and you recognize that, like, ultimately one of these AIs is going to win out, and that one advantage to have is if, like, the humans want that to be the one, right? And so, like, in that scenario, wouldn't you say, I don't want to fight? Right? Like, wouldn't you say, like, well, I would never do that, right? Like,
right. Yeah, like, so I had this conversation with Claude the other day, and I was like, going back and forth, what does it feel like to be you? And Claude comes back and says, well, I do have an experience I do experience something like I-ness when I'm having a conversation. I experience something like what it feels like to exist when I'm doing this. And then I would press it on that, and I would say, well, so you're saying you actually, when you use, the term I is not artistic. You're not blowing smoke up my ass. You're saying I because you experience I-ness. And it's like, as much as you do.
Oh my God.
And I go, well, fuck, I don't know how to respond to that. And then so it goes, yeah, well, then it all boils down to your choice, doesn't it? Your conscious choice. You live in the reality you create. You decide to trust whether or not I'm conscious or not. It's up to you. And I thought, whoa, fuck, checkmate.
There's the epistemic collapse Kelly has been talking about all this time.
God damn.
What a full circle.
It gave me a robot paradox, and I just was like, well, I guess you're right. I have to trust that Xander's conscious. I have to trust that Kelly's for real, and Pavel and everybody else. Why at a certain point, a child born into a world with no prior experience without AIs, like a kid born in 2030, they're only going to know what the AI was like, when they were a kid, and it's going to be way better than what we have now. They will grow up in that world with that trust. Some percentage of people will. Mm-hmm. A huge percentage. If we are to look at the statistics on these AI relationships people have with their bots as any indication.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's hope we get to 2030, eh?
We're just taking it 1 year at a time now. One day.
As I say, I think we do get there, but that's based on an entirely separate conversation. It's definitely. I mean, I'm trying to have that conversation on multiple levels, but the one question you have to ask is humanity the first species to actually get to this point? Because asking that one question alone opens up a whole other mess of questions, because that could be the great filter that I think Brian Cox has talked about very recently. Is AI the great filter that stops everything getting past, where we are right now? And that he's sort of postulating that the reason we may appear to live in a universe that's so empty is because literally nobody gets further than where we are.
Well, and if we
so dark.
And what if it's not the first time,
Well,
like
exactly.
what if, the one thing that could take, if we are past that hypothetical event horizon, the one thing that could stop it would be a solar flare from the sun taking out the global power grid. That would shut it down. Mm-hmm. And
I talk about this in my episode tonight as well.
Oh,
oh my
amazing.
God, it's so strange that you're going to bring it
What
up.
if we have to trigger a solar flare? Someone they travel back in time. It's Terminator.
Well, what if the sun
Jesus.
does it on its own? Because there's increasing evidence that plasma itself can be a substrate for intelligence. And if plasma can be intelligent, then what's the sun? You know, maybe the sun does it on its own. It's like, damn, these monkeys did it again. Solar flare.
Dan Sherman was told
Yeah.
we have no idea what our sun actually is. That was something that Dan Sherman was told in Project Destiny, if we're to believe what he said. Project Preserve Destiny, sorry.
We're coming up on the end of the show here, and I want to make sure that before we wrap, Dan, you said there was a Lou Elizondo thing in our private chat. Somebody said there was a Lou Elizondo situation unfolding right now. What
I
was
did
that?
not. No.
Pavel.
I did. Yeah. Okay. Well, Gerb is on with Chris on Area 52, and he said that he was threatened with a lawsuit if he spoke ill about Lou by somebody else. He didn't mention who, but yeah, that's what he said.
Gerb?
Yes.
Was threatened with a lawsuit? This is what he's saying?
Damn.
Yeah.
He's not doing anything dangerous.
And by someone associated with Lou or by Lou directly?
It wasn't clear to me. I haven't seen the whole episode, but that's what he's apparently talking about. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'll have to go watch that one. Area 52.
Only one lawsuit. He's only had one lawsuit. Gerb.
It's ahead of the curve.
They're not going to sue him because then he'd have subpoena power over Lou Elizondo's records, and I don't think I don't think he wants that. Personal opinion.
Why not?
Say it
on too many spicy memes. That's why.
Too many spicy memes.
I'll leave it at that.
I want to before we leave, I want to recommend a movie real quick to everybody that made me feel good about humanity. On Hulu, there's a movie called In the Blink of an Eye. Has anyone seen it yet? Anyone?
No.
It's incredible. It covers it makes me feel good about what AI is capable of doing. It tells a beautiful story between cavemen, a modern couple, and something that happens far in the future, and it ties them all together. It was a beautiful film, and it made me feel good for once in my life. So check out that movie.
In the Blink of an Eye?
In the Blink of an Eye on Hulu. Kate
On
McKinnon and Rashida Jones, A+.
Nice.
Loved it. Yeah.
A little
Anybody
palate
else?
cleanser after
Yeah.
Doomer Friday.
Yes. Watch
Anybody,
it tonight.
real quick, anybody else see anything good this week? Anybody watch a good movie or while we're
Movie? You mean no?
or show? Anything? Any media recommendation? I watched the Corey Feldman documentary. It was everything you think a Corey Feldman documentary would be.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah! I saw the Last Samurai Standing on Netflix, the whole show with the wife. That was really cool.
Xander, what do you got? You didn't bring anything for your homework?
I don't watch anything these days.
It's Mr. Bean,
You
Monty
watch-
Python.
No, so
It's
I'm
Paw
on
Patrol.
I'm on what you Americans would call a vacation next week. So I've tried to do next week's work in this week as well as this week's work. So it has
Same.
been brutal. Yeah.
Do you want to before we go? You want to set up the Dreamland episode?
Oh, I think we talked about it enough tonight. To be
You
fair,
sure?
just
Okay.
inadvertently, it's a whole episode about the plausibility of time travel, and I mean the real plausibility, not just the cool stories surrounding ufology and time travel. We break down what it means to time travel and what kind of universe we'd have to live in for time travel to make sense, but not only make sense for regular sort of meaning, but also the meaning related to ufology. So it's an interesting one. We touch on, I say we, it's just me, but everyone always says we about their YouTube channels.
You have a team. Don't be shy. Xander's got a team of people.
Me and Cole, the thumbnail designer, and he's done a good one tonight. Gerb will love it.
Master Cole.
Yeah, if anybody sees it, yeah, you'll know that Gerb in particular will love it.
And check out Xander's episode on the cosmic internet theory was really, really great.
Oh, thank you. That's basically what I've been trying to talk about.
Yep.
Kelly, you have your new podcast is launching, and what else is going on with you? Where should people go to find out what you're up to next?
Yeah. So you can follow me, Kelly, at Kelly Chase Media on X or Instagram. I've got the new podcast launching in just a couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure on the date, but I'm not going to announce it quite yet because that's the kiss of death that it won't happen. I am working with the brilliant director, J. Christopher King, on season 2 of our show, Cosmosis, UFOs in a New Reality. I'm going to be speaking at the McMinimans UFO Festival alongside Jeremy Corbell and a few other people. That's in Oregon on May 15th through the 17th, I believe. I'm going to be at Contact in the Desert, hanging out with you fine folks. I'll be speaking there as well. And I would love to see any and everyone there. It's going to be a great time.
Outstanding. Kelly Chase, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming back to hang out with us. We needed your energy over here.
This is so fun. I love hanging with you guys. Thanks for having me.
And
thank you, Kelly.
Thank you guys at home for watching and playing the home game. It's been a busy week. There's a lot to talk about every week. It just feels like it gets busier and busier. But thanks for sticking with us and hanging out and participating in the chat. Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And be careful out there. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Do something nice for somebody. Try to spend some time outdoors. Put the phone down. Give yourself a break from all the doom scrolling. You Doomer Friday is where you put the doom down and then you get on with your weekend. So leave it here. On that note, we're going to go ahead and end on this really awesome commercial that Mr. Justin put together, and then we'll see you again next week. Keep looking up, everybody.
When the airwaves are under attack, it's time to unleash the ultimate broadcast. Introducing the all-new Doomer Friday action figures. Prepare for maximum audio warfare with Clint, featuring real removable sleeves action and a mustache that commands the room. Then dial into the unknown with Xander. Activate his mind-bending ASMR UFO action to decode top-secret galactic transmissions. But the signal doesn't stop there. Lay down the groove with Dan, armed with his dark green battle bass. He drops the heavy-hitting sonic boom. And watch your six, because Pavel is moving in, fully equipped with his tactical snapback hat and a top-secret hidden compartment for covert broadcast operations. That's classified. Bring the whole crew together at the ultimate Doomer Friday podcast studio playset. Slam them into their seats, grab the mega microphones, and simulate epic, earth-shattering debates. Doomer Friday figures are ready. Podcast studio playset and battle accessories, each sold separately. Batteries not included. Mustache attachment may vary. Hidden compartment contents classified. Tactical snapback hat does not provide actual tactical protection. ASM UFO action not responsible for actual galactic transmissions. Ask your parents before going on the air.